I share this with you because I want you to hear this well. If I had waited to launch my coaching program until I felt ready, until I had all the details worked out, we may not be having this conversation today, but I started before I felt ready. And that was enough for me to have the faith that if I just do the thing, then what might happen could be life-changing. Welcome to the Andrea Engstrom Show for bold women in business. We are passionate about helping you break through to your next level of abundance, success, and freedom so that you can create the life you desire and inspire others to do the same. I'm your host, Andrea Engstrom, and today I want to share how I created $100,000 in sales in just my first 90 days when I launched my own coaching program. Have you ever thought about being a coach or a mentor, and maybe you're already giving away advice for free and you've wondered if you could turn it into a business? Well, today is for you. So I want to take you back to what was going on in my life when I first decided to launch my own coaching program. I was working in somebody else's organization. I had created some success in real estate and was invited to be a coach in somebody else's program and was doing sales for them and recruiting. And I was working with amazing people doing amazing things. And what a lot of people don't know about me is during that time in my life, I was also crying in my pillow at night. I had this deep sense that I was meant to do something more and that I wasn't living up to my own potential. And so I was really grateful for the opportunities that I had and the things that I was doing, but I knew that I was meant for more. Have you ever felt that way? Like you're doing something that is good, but it's not what you're meant to do. And so I describe this time in my life as this feeling of incongruency, where I knew that I wanted to do something more, but I wasn't taking action to do it. And it was one day that I was listening to the Ed Milet show, and he had a guest on his podcast named Amy Porterfield, and she had a book coming out called 2 Weeks Notice. And she described a time in her life where she was working with Tony Robbins, the biggest coach in the world, doing amazing things with amazing people. And she was basically crying in her pillow at night. And I'm like, girl, what do we do about it? Yes, I'm with you. And she described that she sat in this room with Tony Robbins and he was meeting with these other coaches and they had a conference coming up. And these coaches were talking about what freedom looked like for them. And she's like, I don't have that freedom. And I was like, yes, I don't have that freedom because I was working 30 or 40 hours a week building somebody else's dream while I was coaching people that if you're working for somebody else, you're building their dream. And that's exactly what was happening in my life. And she talked about after that meeting that Amy went home and she wrote out what she would want to coach people around, what her coaching program would be. And she put a date on the calendar. And she said 3 words that absolutely changed my life. She said, bet on yourself. So I grabbed my notebook and I wrote at the top of the page, what would the bravest version of me do? And I wrote down some ideas of how I'd want to help women. If I could just launch my own coaching program, what would I want to help people to do? And I put a date on the calendar. And I reached out to the people that I was working with and I said, hey, I'm pretty sure I can do what I'm doing for you and do this too. And they were like, no, ma'am, if you launch your own coaching program, you cannot also be a coach in our group. And at that moment, I just said, all right, then I got to go. And I left the income that I was making with them. And I decided to launch my own coaching program. A few weeks after that, the date of the workshop that I put on the calendar, where I was like, I'm going to share some really cool stuff. And then I'm going to make an offer at the end. That date came up and I launched my coaching program. And I have to tell you, over the next 6 weeks, I did $63,000 in sales. And a few people were asking me, Andrea, how did you do that? And I was like, well, let me see if I can share this too. And so I mapped out another coaching program, teaching people exactly what I did. And I reached out to a handful of women and I said, if you want to learn this, I'm going to teach it. And they agreed and decided to join that coaching program. But in the first 90 days that I launched my business, I did $134,000 in sales. And so I want to share with you all one of my very favorite quotes. It's from Marianne Williamson from her book, A Return to Love. And she says this, and y'all have heard this before. I share this all the time. She said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do, and we were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us, and it is not just in some of us. It is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And I share this with you because I want you to hear this well. If I had waited to launch my coaching program until I felt ready, until I had all the details worked out, then we may still be waiting to launch that coaching program. We may not be having this conversation today. But I started before I felt ready. I had an idea, and my dissatisfaction with what was going on in my life became high enough. And I got a vision for the future of what I was going to do and some clear first steps to just take that action and put that date on the calendar. And that was enough for me to have the faith that if I just do the thing, then what might happen could be life-changing. Right. And so over the past couple of years, I've had the honor and the privilege of helping several other women launch their own coaching programs. And I have to tell you, from that first group that I helped, one of the gals did $55,000 in sales in her first 6 weeks. Another did $35,000 in her first 7 weeks. Another did $33,000 in her first 4 weeks. And then a handful of my students got together and partnered up, and they created a program and launched it, and they did $300,000 in the first 3 weeks of their launch. And so what I'm going to share with you today are 4 keys that I teach my students who are wanting to launch a coaching program. So if this is something that you've been thinking about or just curious about, then I want to share with you 4 things that you need to know if you're thinking about launching a coaching program. All right. So the first key is to choose a clear niche. And so I encourage my students to pick a category in one of the 3 major categories that people will pay for. And those categories are health, wealth, and relationships. And so we all know about weight loss coaches. We've heard people that are holistic coaches or hormone coaches, that sort of thing. Those fall under the health category. The wealth category is where you are teaching someone to do something in business or to create a business or to improve the business that they have or to improve something in their career or their personal finances. All of those categories fall under the wealth building category. And then the third area is relationships. And though this can be relationships with your partner, your spouse, your children. Boundary setting is a relationships category, and it can also be a relationship with yourself or with God. These are all relationships. And I encourage my students to choose a niche for now. And what that means is that we are not so locked in that we're making such a big life decision that we can never, ever change it in 10 years from now or 20 years from now. We still have to be working in that niche. Call it a niche for now. And for me, that just helped me to be decisive. When I took that approach, I was like, all right, what is something that I can help people with that creates a transformation in their life that is something that I would feel confident in my experience, my story, my expertise to be able to share that with them. Okay. And so we choose a niche for now. And I want to encourage you to approach that niche direction with an eye on what I call downstream marketing, which means it is something that your ideal clients, the people that you would love to work with, are actively looking for a solution to that problem in their life. We don't want to be so inventive or innovative or creative in how we talk about things that nobody knows what we're talking about, right? We want it to be something that provides value, that people will raise their hand for, and that they're actually looking for a solution in that area. And so I want you to think about who you'd love to work with. What are they looking for a solution for right now? And how could you provide a solution in a unique way? I want you to think about your life experiences. What do people ask you for advice around? Or what is something that you have accomplished or an obstacle that you have overcome that others want to accomplish for themselves? This is a good indicator that this is a niche that you could help people with, right? And so there's a specific way that we craft a niche statement that goes like this. All right. I help specifically who, do specifically what, specifically how, so they can life benefit. Let me share how this sounds in execution. If you were creating a coaching program in the health industry, you might want to have a niche that sounds like this. I help women over 40 drop 20 pounds in 6 months by managing their hormones naturally so they can have more energy and keep the weight off for good. When I launched my coaching program, it was in the wealth building category. And I was a referrals coach. I would say this: I help women entrepreneurs get clarity, step into their confidence, and make powerful referral connections so they can double their income. And as a coach in the coaching industry, I help coaches create and launch high-ticket group coaching programs so they can exponentially increase their income and step into their life purpose. And there's a concept that I want to introduce you to that is something that is also helpful when we're trying to figure out what your niche is as a coach. And this is the concept of ikigai. And this is the Japanese concept that means a reason for being. And it is where what you love, what you are good at, and what the world needs intersects with what you can be paid for. And when you discover what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for, when those things come together, that's what creates a deep sense of fulfillment. And it creates income for you. And so when I am helping one of my students to identify what their unique niche will be, that's what we look for. Is something that is allows them to operate from their natural zone of genius, their life experiences, something that's super relevant in the world. What's a conversation people are having? They're actively looking for a solution to this topic, and people will pay for it. All right. Okay. So that's the key number one. Nail your niche. Choose your niche. Key number two is identify the transformations. We talk about this a lot in my group, this principle that's called be, do, have. The greatest question we can ask ourselves is, who do I need to be in order to do what it takes to have what I want? And so I want you to think about your story connected to how you may be able to help people in the future, because you are best equipped to help who you used to be. Did you get that? You are best equipped to help who you used to be. And so I want you to think about your story, a challenge that you've overcome in your life, and how did it define who you are today? Think about this. If there's something you were struggling with, when you overcame that struggle, who did you become? What is the transformation that happened in you? Because this is the truth. People don't need to hire a coach to teach them how to do something. They hire a coach to help them become who they need to be in order to take that action. And sure, in coaching programs, there is a lot of great information, but we can watch YouTube videos. We can go to Chat GPT and figure things out. But the truth is, if you're not helping someone create the transformation of who they need to be, they probably won't take that action. And that's why coaching is so powerful. And so I want you to think about in your own experience, what are the struggles that you've overcome, the things that you have accomplished. And I want you to think about in your personal experience, when you had a problem that you solved, how did you solve the problem when you were experiencing it? What did you learn that changed everything? What did you do that made the greatest difference? And most importantly, who did you become? Because as a coach, you want to help someone else achieve a transformation. And the best way that we do that is from a place of personal experience and specialized knowledge. All right, so finish this sentence for yourself. Write this down. The biggest result I can help a business or person achieve is what? And here's a little hint. This should be the most important thing that they want to accomplish in their life or business that relates to how you help. That's how we know that we're onto something when it comes to identifying what you could help someone else with if you were to launch a coaching program. All right. And so the next area that I want to encourage you around is key number 3, planning promotions and being authentic. So when I decided to launch my own coaching program, I put a date on the calendar for a workshop that I would launch. So this is another great way to identify a niche. What would you be excited to create a workshop to teach someone else about? If I told you, hey, you've got 2 weeks to plan for a 2-hour workshop that you're going to teach, what is a topic that you would be super stoked on? And by the way, you don't have to host a 2-hour workshop and you can give yourself more than 2 weeks, but it helps you to think about what would you love to be, to take the time to prepare for, and what would you love to help people with? And so when you're launching your coaching program, I want to encourage you to put a date on the calendar for an hour or a 90-minute workshop. And this is kind of your coming out party. This is your announcement to the world, the category that you are going to be coaching in. And so when I put a date on the calendar, I named my workshop 3 Secrets to Double Your Income: Clarity, Confidence, and Unlimited Referrals. And I got a bunch of people registering for that workshop. And part of the ways that I did that was I showed up in authenticity. I shared before and after pictures of what I look like during the time in my life when I did not have things figured out and I was on the struggle bus. I shared about the things that changed in my life, including that I quit drinking and I got my head on straight, and life is really good today, but it was not always that way. And let me tell you about what's happened in my life. And I want to share with you the things that I did to change my life, and that you can do it too. And so I launched promotions for that workshop by sharing my story from a place of vulnerability and authenticity. And it resonated. When you share authentically, that resonates at a higher level than anything else that you can do. Because you can share tips and tricks, but when you share your story with authenticity, that's what people connect with at an emotional level. And so I encourage you, don't just plan promotions saying, I'm launching a coaching program helping people know how to do X, Y, Z, or I'm hosting a workshop where I'm going to teach you how to do X, Y, Z. Share the hard part of your story and how you're going to help. You want to help people that are going through it. They're in the thick of it right now to be able to do something different in their life. Some of the other things that I did over that first 90 days is I also shared what I call freebies. And so I posted sharing where you could actually get my scripts. Here's what I say to get referrals. And I shared some unpopular opinions that you don't have to spend hundreds or thousands a month on marketing in order to get leads. In fact, I got 3 deals in my first 30 days without marketing, right? And so I looked for what are the hooks? What are the things that people want to learn from me that I can share from a unique perspective, from a place of results? And what can I give away for free? And let me share with you why I take this approach. And this is why I coach women when you're launching a coaching program, that we always start with value. And I love to give away things for free, right? I have a free podcast you can listen to. I host free workshops. I have a free work with me one-on-one opportunity that I'm going to share with you here in just a few minutes. I give away free scripts and checklists and tools and ebooks and all kinds of things. And this is why I do this, because I learned from the best marketer of all time. And some of you are like, ooh, which coach is she talking about? I'm talking about Jesus. And so one of the things that I take from scripture is that Jesus always provided value first. He always met needs first. And then he said, come follow me. Right. So you remember that story of Simon, Peter, and Andrew, and they're fishing, and they'd been fishing all night, and they hadn't caught any fish. And Jesus met them at the water, and he said, cast your net on the other side. And they're like, Jesus, we've been trying this all night. We've been trying this our way, and it didn't work. And he said, cast it on the other side. He gave them a new approach, a new strategy. And they did it, and their boat was filled to overflowing. And then he said, come follow me. Jesus has the best selling book of all time, has the most followers of all time. And so I'm going to learn from one of the best. And so that's why I take that approach to always provide value first. So plan your promotions and be authentic, providing tremendous value first. All right. Key number 4 is build your community. So after I launched my workshop, the next thing that I did was I started inviting people to a free Facebook group. And my Facebook group, I talk about it every week on this podcast. It's called Bold Women in Business Sisterhood. And in this group, I go live every week. I post questions to spark interactions among the members. I ask membership questions to generate leads. So as soon as someone's joining my group, they're answering membership questions that start that conversation. I provide free high value stuff, those freebies and workshops and stuff. I promote the workshops and events in this group. And I follow up individually when someone expresses interest in how I help. And so that's one of the things that I want to encourage you to do, because I have to tell you all this. In the first 2 years of my business, I generated over $1 million in sales from my friends on Facebook and the women who joined my free Facebook group. So when somebody tells me I want to be a coach, but I don't really want to work on Facebook, I'm like, well, you can try, but let me just tell you what my experience has been. So if you're working with a category of people, if you're a woman and you want to coach other women of a certain age, then let me tell you where your women are. Let me tell you where your people are, where you can connect with them very, very easily, right? And I learned some really important things. When I first started my coaching program, I also joined a very high ticket program. I spent $36,000 on coaching the year that I launched my coaching program. And I learned a few things about how to turn someone from a free lead in a free group on Facebook and getting them to an appointment on your calendar. And so that's something that I teach my coaches to do as well. But it starts with building that community. In order to have those opportunities to connect with people, you have to offer them something of value. And when they say yes and join your group, that's what happens. Is that then you have the permission to reach out to them and to connect with them because they've said, yes, please connect with me. So sisters, I want to ask you a question today. What if everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of becoming bold? This past year has been an incredible year in my business, and I've learned a lot of new things. I've learned how to get my work week down to just 4 days a week. And I'm working on a process to make it just a 3-day work week. I take about a week of vacation every single month. So I'm only working 3 weeks a month at that full capacity of 3 or 4 days a week. And I want to encourage you that you can build a life of freedom and finances if you're using the right business model. And so if this is something that you're curious about, if you've thought about doing this, then I want to two things. I want to encourage you to take bold action in one of 2 ways. Number 1, I want you to grab a spot in my next workshop that's coming up. You can grab your spot at andreaengstrom.com. I have new workshops every single month where you can connect with me and learn more about how this business works and about how to create a business that creates freedom for you. So grab your spot on one of my upcoming workshops. The second thing that you can do is you can go through a process with me one-on-one where I will help you figure out your coaching niche. And so this is the unique message that you bring to your audience. Your unique coaching niche is exactly what you're going to do to help other people be successful. And so this is where we will work together one-on-one for free for a few days to create your magnetic message that states who your coaching program is for, how you help in a unique way, and why it matters. And so if you would like an opportunity to work with me one-on-one, I have very limited space available for this because I'm just me. And if that's something that you're interested in, I'm going to drop a link where you can book a call to see if this is the right fit for you and get your sessions with me scheduled. And we'll work together for 3 or 4 consecutive days to nail your niche. And then I'll share with you what it looks like if you want to run with that clarity. I'll give you more detail about how we get clients, how we close clients, that sort of thing. And you're going to learn that in just working with me for 3 or 4 days together, one-on-one. Okay, so I'm putting a link in the description of this podcast if that sounds like something that you'd like to explore. I would love to help you figure out what's the direction for your own coaching program. So, sister, if you want to gain more clarity in your life and your business, join me for a free workshop. And you can register for that at andreaengstrom.com. And if you want to get next level clarity on if coaching is the right fit for you, I want you to book your Nail Your Niche with me. And by the way, if something on the show today resonated with you, would you just let me know? Give me a review. And if you're a woman entrepreneur, you can also join my free Facebook group, Bold Women in Business Sisterhood, where I share strategies every single week for monetizing your expertise. And I invite you to lots of cool free events that we host and give away some really cool things. All right, sisters, I hope this was helpful to you. I hope I got your wheels spinning a little bit. And if you want to do something next level in your life, I want you to know that if it is in you, it is for you. You can do this thing. There is nothing magical or special about women who are coaching other than they had the courage to raise their hand and be willing to be of service to others. You only have to be one chapter ahead of the people that you serve. So you can do this. I know that you can. And we'll figure it out together. All right? All right, sisters, till next time. I'm Andrea Engstrom, your sister in business, encouraging you to take action on your dreams. Show up to your life with power and authenticity. Be bold, be tenacious, and make it happen. Today.